Hi, Carrie. I don't know if you can hear me yet.
Said
Yeah, it was, and then I paused it for a minute because I was on early. Yeah, yeah. So, hello everybody. Welcome. We're just waiting for everyone to arrive. So, this is the recording for our um human design chart chat.
can you tell me what's happening on Thursday?
This Thursday, uh shamanic painting with group 1. Okay.
No, this Thursday it says something else on mine.
What's it
It
say?
is something, and I can't read it.
Okay,
I
let
need
me,
my glasses on.
yeah, let me just get my
Let's see.
groups here. Because you're group 2, right? So,
Yeah,
okay, what is this? March, April the 25th. No, it's Wednesday that
yeah,
we
not
have
Thursday.
gathering at
Yeah,
9:30. We're starting the magnetic entrepreneur journey um on Wednesday. The
yeah.
soulfully aligned woman magnetic entrepreneur. So yeah, that one is.
But there's no modules or anything for that.
I think there is. Let me double check that for you. Because it's not in the teachable. I think it
Uh,
is. I'll
well,
look.
there's the business one.
Yeah. The business
Uh, there's
and
the creative mystic biz, but we've done all that.
yep.
And that's the end of it.
Okay. No, there might not be then. I'm gonna double check my notes here.
Okay.
I'm just kind of not there yet. Carrie, you're
Okay.
ahead of me.
Well, I was just like, what is this one? And
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out. So, and then I couldn't find any information. So that's,
It's
you
okay. I
know,
have it right here. So I'm just gonna, I don't think there is. I think this one, along with the money mindset, is all, yeah, it's all just coming in and we chat. Like it's a little more casual with topics for each week. Yeah, there we go. So this one is just bring a journal if you want.
okay. I
Yeah.
always
And it's
like,
really more about the energy of it all now. We
okay,
really get into the energies and frequencies of within us.
great. So kind of a deeper dive into what we've already
Yes.
about.
Yes. Yes. Sorry, I was kind of focused on the other group because they actually finished this week.
Yeah.
So I was like, my mind is on Thursday and Friday with them. But I'm glad
Uh,
you pointed that out because I mean I would have been there. I wouldn't have missed it or anything, but I'm just kind of one day at a time right now because I don't know about you, but the energies are a lot and I'm just finding I have to pace myself really carefully and not multitask too much.
yeah, I'm sleeping 10 to 12 hours a night, which I don't ever do more than 5 or 6.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And yeah, it's part of it is, being gone for so long and being home and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I'm just feeling really wobbly, just
Yeah.
trying trying to really take care of myself, but it's hard when you just want to curl up in a ball.
Right? Yeah, it really is. And it's very like you just I think that kind of brain fog sets in for me if I don't stop and take a breath and give myself the breaks. And I'm not used to that. I'm used to being able to go, 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 like very much so. And then I'll take a whole day off, right? But I can usually go. And right now, hi, you guys, welcome. Right now, I'm finding it's like, okay, no, just one day at a time. Take your break through the days, take 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And I'm so grateful that I can because, you know,
Yeah,
for so long I couldn't. So,
yeah. Nice
yeah.
not having a schedule.
Oh, it is. And the schedule that I have with you guys is the most beautiful schedule in the world. It's so people are like, well, are you, how are you doing being at home, like working from home by yourself type of thing? And I'm like, I'm not by myself. I have these beautiful people in my life. And
Yeah,
I think people just can't understand that. People in the other world that are working 9 to 5 and they're wrapped up in that, they just can't understand how, well, you don't know these people. Like, I'm like, yes, I do. Like, I feel closer to them than to some of my friends that I see regularly, right?
yeah.
You guys are beautiful. Hello, everyone. So, Jen is coming. I hope. Because I was like, once she said, "Oh, I'll come. I will do this," I was like, "Oh, phew, good, good," because I only know a little bit about human design. There are layers and layers in human design, and they connect to the gene keys. And it is a fascinating journey to take. I am loving every minute of it. I am deep diving more into learning about them, learning about each gate and channel and I actually have had my second session with Jen. So she's been really good, like fantastic at, really uncovering a lot of things I didn't even know, like had no clue about. So if you do want to go deeper, that's always an option for you. And I think it's kind of like for the 3 sessions, she's got a couple different packages, but I was doing the 3 sessions with her. Oh, here she is. And it was about $500, but she does have shorter readings too. So just keep that in mind as we go through. And she's been studying these for, I think she said 8 years. So and truly hi Jen, truly my vision is like to really study over the full year. So Jen sent me a beautiful chart, like a mandala chart of my human design. And it's just beautiful. And I absolutely love, love, love it because I can follow along. If I know what gate we're in, I can follow along and see each day where we're at. And Jen, you can dive into this even more. Like we haven't even pointed out what gates are, but my thought is that, well, I'm deep diving into each gate as we move through it. So that's a full year cycle, right? So
Yes.
that's what I'm going to do. That's my plan is like, okay, when we just moved into gate 27, we just moved out of 3, right? Gate 3 and into, so I was reading all about gate 3 and then now have to read about 27. I haven't started that yet. So welcome, John. Yay.
Thank you.
And
Hi, you guys.
I'm just gonna kind of let you go from here, Jen, and anything that you want from me, just say so.
Okay, great. Did all of you guys go and get your human design chart from my website? Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to show you I'm going to work with a different chart. It's going to look just like the one you have, but the one you have is interactive. So if you hover over the different pieces, like the different parts of your chart, it'll give you information But I want to show you my professional chart so I can show you how it all interconnects. So if it looks a little different, don't get thrown off. All of the information is the same. Oh, can you allow me to share my screen, Janice?
Yeah.
Please?
Okay, sorry, I have you on spotlight here. How do I do that again? Let me think.
I think you go into more and then,
Got it.
yeah,
Oops.
it's not my
multiple-
meeting, so I don't see the stuff.
It says multiple participants can share. Okay. Nope.
Oh, there it goes. It gave me permission.
Okay, perfect.
Yippee. Okay. So here we are. This is my chart. So I'm gonna use me as the guinea pig here so you guys can see all of my good, bad, and uglies. A couple rules about human design. There is no chart that is better than another. We all have a purpose to be here. We all have a reason to be here. We bring our gifts and our shadows on purpose because everything that we are, we do, we think, and we process is fuel to move the collective forward. Okay, so we all have challenges, but none of these things are bad. We are not bad. Okay, so this is called a human design body graph. The body graph consists of 9 centers. They are what looks very similar to the chakra system. This is the Kabbalah tree of life. There are just a few differences from the regular, quote unquote, chakra system. We in our country, we typically focus on 7 chakras. We have hundreds of chakras. There's not just 7. So human design focuses on 9. As I hover over each of them, you're going to see the name pop up. Feel free to take note or not, because it'll pop up on your interactive chart. This is the head center. This is the ajna. They coincide literally with the crown and the third eye. Okay. Then you have the throat chakra. Here's where we depart from the chakra system that you're familiar with. We have the G center and we have the heart center, otherwise known as the ego center. The G center is the I am. The heart center is the me. And I'm using those words intentionally. The G center right here in the center, it is your magnetic moon pole. A moon pole is a magnet that has one side, right? So it is through this G center, your I am, that you call in all of the relationships, people, experiences that you need to have as fuel on your journey. So I'll get into that more in a minute. The ego center, the heart center, this is the place from which we relate to other people. The G center is a very personal center. The heart center is where we are in relationship and in connection with other people. Absolutely informed by the G center, but separate. Then we have the sacral center and the root center, both of which you're familiar with. We also talk in our culture about the solar plexus. That's the one that's over here. I want you to note that the solar plexus has a connection to your G center, to your I am, but through your heart center, through this center, your me center, your relationship center. Your emotions are tied up and involved positively, negatively, and otherwise through your relationships, through your outside external interaction with people, if that makes sense. And then over here, we have your splenic center. Your splenic center is responsible for your intuition and everything about survival. Interesting that the two of those are in the same center. I just have to point that out. Janice is particularly connected in the splenic center. You'll notice that some of these say defined. So this says sacral center defined, and it's colored in pink. And then my root center is hanging out. I do not even have one gate in my root center. What am I talking about? I'm going to zoom in and show you. So you see all these random numbers in here? All of these numbers, they are numbers 1 through 64. Okay. Each of these are gates. There are 64 gates, just like there are 64 chromosomes, and the number 64 is repeated throughout science all over the place. These gates are in the same exact place for every person. It is part of the chart. And then this is my individual chart. This is representative of where the planets were and Chiron and the nodes and whatnot at the time of my birth. Okay, so there are 64 gates. Within these gates, you'll notice that like this 47 has a circle around it and half of a red line. The red indicates that it's tied to this side of my chart. And it means that I have gate 47 somewhere. And lo and behold, I have gate 47 in Pluto. All I want you to know about that right now is that all of these gates that have circles around them are reflected by where a planet was at the time of my birth. I did not have any planets in 64, 61, or 63. So I have no connection to my higher self thinking. That doesn't mean I don't have those gates. It doesn't mean that I don't have access to that. And it doesn't mean that I cannot have direct and constant communication with my higher self. It just means that I have to be more cognizant about the way I do that and about conditioning in that area. And we'll talk about conditioning in a minute. You'll notice that my ajna is defined, says it's defined because it's colored in, right? And you'll notice that I have almost every gate in my ajna. It doesn't mean they're connected, but I have almost every one of those gates. Do you notice these half lines here? Those are called hanging gates. That means I have gate 11, but I do not have gate 56 to make a solid line like you see here in the 17 to 62. You see how that's a solid line? That solid line means I have access to gate 17, gate 62, and the energy of the whole channel. Just to back off, because I know that was a ton of information that I just threw at you. Each of these gates has an archetypal energy. We're not going to get into the archetypal energies of the gates today. Each channel has an archetypal energy. And the channels correspond to the individual, the collective, or the tribal energy archetype. So each of these gates that you see, I have a lot of hanging gates, everybody does, where you see half lines. I have a few channels where you see the full line, and on your chart somewhere, it will say something like this, channels. See how it says channels, and then it gives you these 4 lines. You might have 2 lines, you might have 8 lines. I have a client that has 9 lines. I have a client that has 0 channels. They're a reflector. Those channels would be someplace for you to begin discovering what I'm talking about on your own chart. Okay. Are there any questions about what I've covered so far? Or would you like me to keep going? Raise your hand if you want to. You're all good? Okay. Osho has a question. What is that?
Hello, Jen. It was
Hi.
nice hearing the session from you. I mean, just correct me if I got it wrong. What I understood, you said that the head center, it covers your crown chakra and your third eye. Yeah.
The
And-
ajna is your third eye. and the
Oh,
head is your higher. Mhm.
Okay, so the ajna is the third eye, and then you also said that the splenic center is intuition and survival. So third eye is again connected to intuition, and again splenic center is connected to intuition. So I was just curious to know, is there any connection or any difference between the two? Because both of them seem to concern with intuition.
That's intention. That's why they are in the same channel. If I'm understanding you correctly, the question was, is there any differentiation between intuition and survival in the splenic center? The answer is yes. There are some of these gates that deal with specifically with survival, and there are some that deal with intuition. And I'm happy to talk about that in another class, but we don't really have time to go into the individual gates. We could spend hours talking about the gates.
I mean,
If you
what
have,
I wanted to know that what is the difference between the intuition of ajna center and the
Oh.
intuition of splenic center?
okay. So the intuition of the splenic center is, if you are really well connected within that splenic center, you might know things without really knowing how you know them. You might have wisdom or answers to questions or concepts that you really haven't studied, because you just have the knowledge. That knowledge is partially motivated by the splenic center. Your ajna is your imagination. So your head center might be ideas and your ajna imagination. Okay, I hope that helps. They're very different. The intuition, you know things on a survival level in your splenic center. When you're up here in your head, constantly ideas and thoughts and creativity, it's all bouncing around in both of those ajnas trying to get to your throat chakra. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay.
All right.
And
Thank
Osha,
you.
feel free to write other questions. You can interrupt me when I ask for questions, absolutely. But you can also contact me independently through my website, and I can answer some questions for you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So that's a great segue right into what I wanted to talk about next, which is that the energy in your human design body graph is always moving. There are motor centers and there are pressure centers. The pressure centers are the root chakra and the head chakra or center. The reason that those are pressure centers is because they are naturally built to push the energy to the throat chakra. Everything is moving towards manifestation out of that throat chakra. So everything in your chart, therefore, is kind of reaching towards, is being pushed towards that throat chakra. I would like you to kindly recognize that on my chart that I'm showing you here, I have only one connection to my throat chakra, and it is through this gate 6217 channel, which is called the channel of acceptance, which means stop fixing everything, damn it. But you'll notice that nothing else connects to my throat chakra. The purpose of your human design chart is not to give you answers, is not to be like, oh, this is the light bulb that needs to go off so that you know exactly how you're going to get to where you want to go. This is supposed to teach you things about the way you function. And I'll give you an example from my own chart. I do really, really, really well in collaboration with somebody else because my chart and your chart will connect. And all of a sudden there's a flow that I don't have individually. So I need to work to be in collaboration with people and to have conversations out loud. We've said for years, certain people are external processors, right? We need to talk about things out loud. This is part of what I'm talking about. And so now I realize like I need to record my conversations, or I need to actively be taking notes when I'm talking to people so that I can follow up and reconnect with my ideas. Because when I disconnect from the telephone call with you, I disconnect energetically from your chart, and all of a sudden I'm left with, wait, where is the pressure pushing those ideas towards my throat chakra again? I don't have them. Some of you do. Awesome. The sacral center is a big, important place for energy because it's just life force energy. It's constantly running. If you do have this, then you probably are the Energizer Bunny. Like, you can do a lot. This is called the Energizer Bunny center. If you do not have that center filled up, you might recognize that you have times when you're like, yeah, this is awesome. And you've got all kinds of energy and motivation to do things. And then if you don't have that center, or then other times you don't have any energy there. It's helpful for people who do not have the sacral energy to go work at a coffee shop if they're feeling unmotivated, because you will connect with other people's charts in the coffee shop and get energy and get maybe some motivation that you wouldn't have on your own. There are also motor centers. Those motor centers are the root, the sacral, and the head for the same reason. You know, everything's pushing towards the throat chakra. All of you, I'm sure, can see, you know what I'm going to do? I want to pull up one of your charts.
You
Who
can pull mine
would be
up if
willing?
you want.
Who's that?
That was
Janice?
Janice.
Oh,
Yeah, if you
here.
want, if you need
Okay.
an example, that's fine.
Yes, I would like that. Oh, wait. Start. Stop. Where'd they go? Hold on. Did I put yours in here? I may not have.
I don't know.
I
You
don't
sent-
know.
You sent it to me.
Okay, I'm going to use my beautiful husband. I sent this one to you. How weird that I can't find yours. All right. For time purposes, we're just going to jump onto his. He is a projector. What am I talking about? The three things that everybody says you need to know about your human design is your type, your authority, and your strategy. Those three things are the top three things listed on this chart that I have given you. Okay. The type is the operating system of your energetic blueprint. My husband is a projector. And if you click on these three buttons on your interactive site, not if you've printed it out, but on the actual site, you will see another, like a mini example of what a projector is. Okay. There are 4 types of people. There's a projector. He is a projector. He's an emotional projector because he has his splenic center connected. A projector is a very important archetype because the projectors are those who are here to lead humanity forward. Do I have any projectors in here? Raise your hand.
do.
Doll.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. And Janice, remember, I don't remember your chart. So if you are too. Oh,
No,
sorry.
I'm a manifester.
okay, perfect. So a projector, Doll, you're here to move us forward as humanity. You probably have been viewed sometimes as not being very tactful. The reason you have been viewed that way is because the projector needs to look down here, wait for the invitation. This is your strategy. You need to wait for people to be ready to accept the information that you have. Not everybody wants to be shown the way at the time that you happen to be there with the answer. Probably all the time you have answers to people's questions and you're like, oh my God, this is so simple. Why can't you see this? They can't see it because it's their journey to find their way to wanting that answer, and the timing might be off. So I hope that resonates for you, Dal. Somehow I've lost you there you go. Does that resonate, Dal? You're muted, so I can't hear you.
There we go. Sorry. Yeah,
That's
no,
all-
that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. I always have an experience or some type sort of input that I always put out. I don't know if Janice remembers, but when we were in university together, one of our cohorts was asked or told me at the end of the years that we were together, he said, I always thought you were so full of bullshit, but now I really do know that you do know all that stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And from a business perspective, I want to caution, there's a lot of misunderstanding with this wait for the invitation. You don't have to sit and be silent in a group, right? But you need to ask for them to invite you, which sounds weird. But what I mean by that from a business perspective is you can literally start any of the advice that you're about to give by asking a question. Have you ever struggled with blah, blah, blah? And then, energetically, someone would be like, oh my God, yes. Right? If the person says no, then they don't have to receive your message. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think it's really, I've worked with a number of projectors individually, and it takes a little bit of practice to see things the way I'm trying to talk about and to deliver your invitation and to recognize when that invitation has been made. But it's really important that you guys know you don't have to literally sit in stagnation waiting for people to come to you. That's not a reasonable request. Okay.
And I know that I need to pay attention a little bit more when people do invite me, because sometimes I poo-poo it off. So when I started looking this up and looking at everything, it's like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like it really, and I'm connected there, and that's probably why I'm a projector. But I'm connected from 41 to 30, and I don't know if it makes a difference.
It can. And just to be fair to everyone, I am happy to do a mini reading with you guys if you would like to do an individual, but
yeah, I think I will. That's great.
Perfect. I don't know what did I just do with, hold on, my chart designs. I'm sorry that I'm clicking all around and losing people. Okay. Here we go back to JD. So he is a projector. The next thing that you'll see is he's an emotional one. This is an authority. Okay. An emotional authority. He has an emotional authority, as do I, in the solar plexus. And if you're hovering over your chart online, it'll tell you what that means. But it means that emotions are front and center, and a lot of your access to life is through your emotional center. This does not mean that you are a healthy person and that your emotions are constantly available for you, or that you can detoxify your emotions really easily. You'll notice that my husband has no splenic. It's not centered. It's not colored in. He does not have a channel out of it. That just means that his intuition and his survival skills are maybe less front and center than the fact that he's feeling frustrated that people are not listening to the way he's trying to drive them forward as a projector. So learning about your authority is important. And then when you look at your profile right here, he is a 5-1. We're going to talk a little bit now about all of these numbers that you see at the top of your chart. Human design holds that you have 2 birthdays. You have your birthday. Oh, I don't know where that I don't know why that keeps going off, but hey, it makes things celebratory. So we have 2 birthdays. We have your actual birthday, which shows up on the right-hand side of your chart. So in your charts that you're looking at, they're yellow. Okay. And then these glyphs that you see along the side, these show you which star or planet where they fall in your chart. So this is the sun, the earth, north node, south node, moon, and so on. Those are represented in your chart wherever you see the yellow lines and the yellow centers. I like this chart. And one of the reasons why I direct people to this chart is because A, it gives you more information and it's not as complicated as the other one I was showing you. But it also shows you straight out of the gate which side you're connected on in each of these centers. What am I talking about? Well, if you go back and see the Ajna center, it's yellow. That ties you instantly that the yellow is tying you to your personality chart, your actual birthday as you know it, okay? On the other side, this is called your design side, your unconscious side. This side is determined by where the stars and planets were 88 days before your birthday. And so these two birthdays give you a hologenic profile, a holograph, if you will. Human design is informed by the I Ching at vast degree. Also, the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. There are lots of really old thought modalities that are integrated into this idea. So in some beliefs that are tied with that, with Taoism and Buddhism, what have you, there can be an idea that 88 days before your birth, your soul came online, your soul entered your body. However, this is a spiritual, this is an idea, this is not a religious thing. So I hope it doesn't offend you. But that's how we get to these two colors. The blue is the unconscious, the yellow is the conscious, okay? So if you look at my husband's chart, you see that he has 4 centers that are connected through his unconscious and 2 that are connected through his conscious. What does that mean? Just means that a lot of things are going on behind the scenes in him that he is unaware of. And he is front and center, throat and head connected to speaking his truth. And everything else that's going on in his chart is going on behind the scenes. And that informs what actually comes out of his head and his mouth, if you will. Does that make sense? Any questions? Feel free to ask something if you have it. No? Okay.
I do.
Oh, please.
Back when you were talking about connections to other people and going to the coffee shop to gain those. So can you just be in the same room with somebody that has those and they help?
Yep. Depending upon their chart. If you're talking about your partner, what's super fun is, oh, sorry. What is happening? I have a broken computer screen, so I can only see half of my screen, which is part of the problem. But what I can do also, this is a connection chart. This is me in yellow and my husband in blue. And the way we complete our charts, if you notice, almost every chart is connected when the two of us together. So that is the way our charts connect. I can do family constellations. I can do partnerships. I can do business partnership charts like this. And it's just really helpful because I help him glue into a whole lot in a conscious way from his identity, from his I am, from his spiritual center. And he can connect to my root center down here. And I can fuel him energetically a lot. On the other hand, he connects me to my ideas and to my throat chakra. So that's amazing. I mean, I notice that every time we're together, I just find myself literally, I mean, I hate to be gross, but like vomiting information about my day on him and wishing that I had recorded all the conversations because I'm like, oh my God, I just told you 5 ideas I had for classes. And now I'm not going to remember what those are because I didn't write them down. So, so there's that. And working with this, I want to talk about this uncentered, unconditioned center. This does not have a color. That does not mean that we don't have access to those gates. What it means is that it's wide open and can be impressed upon by anyone that we're around. So if you know, if Karen has that lit up, then when I'm with Karen, I feel that splenic center. The beauty of that is that allows me to have a consistent energy within that, a consistent access, but it also means that I'm open to conditioning. And conditioning is a great big word within human design and the Gene Keys. Conditioning is that which we have picked up from our family, our schools, our communities, our churches, our business partner, anything, our marriages, and our experiences. And those things have impacted these themes. So in this splenic center, both my husband and I are wide open, and we don't help each other in this necessarily, except just by following the gates in the mandala that I'm going to look at here with you guys in about 11 minutes, we can begin the process of deconditioning. So I want to offer that the word, if you are going to go explore this on your own, and I absolutely welcome you to do so, suggest you should, and I'm happy to share some of my favorite mentors that I study with. Learning about each of these gates has a shadow. Each of these gates has a city, which is the enlightened state. And each of these gates has a pathway. So we move from the shadow to the city through the pathway of its gift. And I want to impress that upon you guys because it is a movable, we're moving on these axes constantly. We might fall into the shadow and then get to the city and 10 minutes later be faced with the same dilemma, which pushes us back into the shadow. Some emotions that we get triggered by might kick us into shadow of some of these gifts. So it's super important that we hold loosely to the information that we pick up within human design and Gene Keys, because they're big, big, big themes. Okay. Really quickly, I want to run through the other archetypes because I know that we have some. There is a reflector. They have no centers defined. They have maybe some gates, but they don't have gates that correspond. They have gates because the planets were somewhere when they were born, but they don't have these channels. So they are wide open. They are here to be our mirrors, to observe and to reflect back to us what we are doing. And we will either love or hate what we see. And those are the lessons that we are supposed to take with us and use to move forward. So if you happen to have a person where you're like, oh my God, that person sets me off and I cannot stand that person, that might be a person who's just reflecting right back at you a great big lesson that you need to learn in your chart. There are generators. You will notice as a type, I am an emotional generator. I am this because I have this sacral center defined. So I'm a generator and I'm connected to my solar plexus. So I am an emotional generator. Not all generators are. A generator is a worker bee. We are the ones that are here that have this life force, constant energizer bunny energy, that if something has lit us up, we are here for it. So Janice is a manifester. A manifester has all kinds of access to the throat chakra, but not the sacral energy force. They are supposed to be listening intently to their ideas. Their job is to come up with the ideas that the generators put into practice. So they have the ideas, the projectors show us how, the generators do the work, and the reflectors show us the good, bad, and ugly about what we're doing. So all of us have a reason to be here. They do say that the reflectors are the newest type to be on the planet, that we needed kind of a moral compass, if you will, to reflect back at us the directions that those projectors are taking us in, to make sure that there's a correction available, if you will. And then some of you might be a manifesting generator. That is a generator that has both access to, the root or the sacral chakra and also the throat chakra. Okay. As an example, Steve Jobs was a manifester, but he did not create Apple Inc. He created the idea of Apple, and the workers that Apple employed created Apple Inc. All of those other brains beneath him contributed to that idea to grow that and to make that bigger, if that makes sense. Okay, for time's sake, I want to pop over to one of the things I wanted to show you on this site that I have is, here is my astro chart. This is a really complex chart, and you see all kinds of mess on here because it does include both my actual birthday and my design birthday. So one might say that this is a more complete astro chart than what you could get from astro.com or something like that, because if I zoom in to the mess that was my Aries, you will see I have a lot of things going on in both red and black. The red is my design or unconscious side. The black is my personality side. And so this last month has been insane. What I wanted to show you on here is that this is the mandala. This is a version of the mandala that Janice was showing you. Maybe I'll just show that one. Should I just show that one? I'll do that. I'm gonna stop it. Move this over. I'm gonna show you here one more time. I'm gonna show you my son's mandala view. So I may be able to get this. I'm trying to work it out so that certain ones of my clients can have access to this mandala view. Isn't it beautiful? I think it's so beautiful. I'm going to go from the inside out to explain to you what this is. The human design chart here is in the middle. It is informed by everything that you see outside. We go out to the astro chart. This is my son's astro chart in Aries, also very complicated, complex month for him. If we zoom out even further, we'll see these are the zodiac signs. And these numbers here are the gates. Janice just informed us that we are in gate 27. Every 6 days, the sun moves into a different gate within our chart. It's in the same gate for all of us, but it hits each of our charts differently, not just because of if it happens to be highlighted in our chart, meaning if your Mars is in gate 27, for instance. But like, for instance, look at gate 21. I had both he had both his conscious and unconscious north nodes in gate 21. So the archetype of gate 21 was then zoomed in even closer to the north node and the goals of where he wants to go, where he wants to be, etc. Gate 42 is particularly hard for him because he had Saturn, both conscious and unconscious, in gate 42. So each of these numbers that you see is the gate, and each of these lines that you see in here is each day. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in each gate. So today, I think we're in gate 27.1, which pulls you back to your own chart. You might see that you actually have 27.1 in Saturn, or 27.2, 27.3, going all the way up to 6, and then we flip over into gate 24. I want to pop back to a regular view for a moment with that, because one of the things that you will recognize on your chart that's farther down here is your profile is a set of numbers. Where do those numbers come from? If you go back up to your chart, you'll see that Ty's sun is in gate 57.4. That's not 57.4 in like a mathematical thing. That's 57 at line 4. The hexagrams in this mandala are represented in the numbers that are after the dot in your chart. You'll notice that each of those numbers goes from between 1 and 6. 4, 1, 2, 1, 6, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Those are all the hexagrams. And this is where the I Ching comes in and informs so strongly the whole human design idea. And the I Ching contains DNA information. And we can actually trace, science has now figured out that we have neutrinos in our body, right? The neutrinos are reflected in the hexagrams. Neutrinos are stardust. So finally, science has caught up to what the I Ching knew how long ago, that we are stardust. Literally, we are stardust, and it's reflected in the chart here. So if you're looking at your astro chart, like I showed you over here, and you're like, oh, okay. And if we work together, I can show you like, okay, so this is the 17.6 in my North Node in Aries in house 10, and it's retrograde. That's what that R means. So it's the North Node was in retrograde. It's all so complex, but it's all reflected in your chart. You don't have to know all this stuff, right? It's all right here in your human design chart. We can work that deeply, but you can find information by looking here. Before I jump into how I would encourage you guys to begin, if any of you want to start on self-study, I want to show you the gene keys. You might hear these, particularly if you're in Whitney's group with us, you're going to hear these two things really connected. Richard Rudd created the gene keys. What you're looking at is the gene keys. Richard Rudd studied with Ra Uru Hu, and he was the gentleman who downloaded or received the information that created the human design chart and that whole thought system. So Richard Rudd studied human design with Ra Uru Hu and then realized, like, wait, there's a bigger way that we can interpret this information. Okay. So this chart, you'll notice there are colors, and you'll notice there's this weird image. I wish that you could imagine this like a Merkaba, like a, 3-dimensional image, because the energy is flowing throughout all of these spheres. They're called spheres all the time. And we begin at the very top with life's work. Okay. My life's work is 1.6. That is reflected in a human design chart. That would be my personality sun right here. Tyler's gene keys would show 57.4 in the life's work sphere. This is 70% of your personality, 70. It is enormous. It informs, let's say it's the coat of paint that is on the vehicle through which you are moving in this lifetime. It is what is the first thing people see. It's the first thing people notice about you. It informs the way you're driving your car and where you're going. So it's an all permeating energy, this archetype that is in your personality sun. Everything else is working kind of behind the scenes to support you in your journey. Okay. I like to explain that the gene keys is the biosphere. If you guys watched or read The Hunger Games, you know what I'm talking about. The gene keys is the environment through which we're moving and proving ourselves and getting to getting through all of these challenges. The avatar that we are using is the human design chart. So the gene keys, the way I love to explain it is that there are 3 kind of judges, if you will, who are making up all the games and challenges for you in this time around the sun. The green spheres is your activation sequence. These are the 4 major themes of your entire lifespan, because we are on a circular staircase. There are themes that now all of us in our age, because there's no one terribly young on this call, we can recognize these themes have come around over and over and over again. The way we shine to the world, the growth through each lesson, moving from life's work through the evolution. Like every lesson, every big challenge that we've gone through, we have traveled this path to evolve into someone who is now informed by that experience. And all of that reflects back to life's work. Then you see the red pathway is the Venus sequence. All of our wounding is here. This is the adolescent, the years of 7 to 14, when we learned or were introduced to big major themes that are still playing out throughout. The internal I am, oh my God, that hurt themes. For instance, the attraction sphere. This attraction sphere is literally from which, remember, we have that magnetic moon pole in our G center, the diamond, right? The self. We have set the parameters to call in the people who are going to help us learn the lessons that we need to learn in this lifetime. So it is this attraction sphere that informs that. And this is the pathway from life's purpose to attraction via the pathway of Dharma. This is our individual life purpose. From our attraction sphere, we go to our intelligence quotient through the pathway of karma. So this, just these three spheres, is the interaction and the interplay of why we're here, what lessons do we individually need to experience to achieve that, and then how does this interact with, inform, and upgrade the karmic energy in which we're playing. And then the blue spheres, this is the pearl sequence. Lots of people contact me and they're like, oh my God, I need to know my pearl sequence, because we think that this is where our wealth is going to come from. This is our job. This is our purpose. The pearl in the center is like, we have done a lot of this work, and all of a sudden, all of the energies throughout all of these spheres are working and have evolved to a certain level where we can gain our pearl. We think that that means that's how we're going to make our money or our fortune. And I mean, maybe yes, but the wisdom and the clarity that come from reaching that is really the goal. And as an enticement, if you will, this vocation sphere, I want to invite you to consider on your own chart. And if you don't have this, feel free to contact me and I can run it for you. The vocation sphere is your greatest wound. Notice the red. It's also your greatest gift and what you're here to heal and to offer to other people. Super complex that your greatest wound as a child is now your superpower as an adult. And the number 4, you'll notice that these say like line 4 sales, line 4, line 6 teacher. Some are going to have a lot of line 1s. Those lines inform also how you are, what level you're intended to absorb these lessons from. Huge amount of information I just threw at you. So I have more time. I don't have something for a little bit, so I would be happy to stop talking. And at 11, I have an appointment, so I can stay if other people are interested. But I want to offer for people to ask me questions. And I'm going to just set some parameters. If you have specific questions like, I really want to know what my vocation, what this wound is, and how that applies to my life, that's a conversation that we should have on a call. But if you have a question about like, what am I talking about with this? Or can I go back to the mandala and explain more of what that is? That's what I would encourage, because I want for you guys to have a global view of this. Oh, and then if you want me to just, before I take questions, tell you how I would continue to study this or to tell you my offerings, I'm happy to start there. You guys tell me how I
Please
can
let,
be of service.
please let
Please.
us know how to contact you and go
Okay.
further.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to offer you guys in here a 20% discount on any of my packages. And I'll tell you how my packages are. One of them, I call it the basics. It's one 90-minute call with me, and we go over your chart. You will understand more your centers. So let me go back to, you'll have a more significant understanding of, I don't know where things are going, of what these centers are and how they light up for you, what your personality type is. Are you a generator? Are you a manifester? What does your chart? I hope that I've demonstrated for you that, like, this is Tyler's chart. This is different than my chart, right? He is also an emotional generator. He has different strategies. He has different things, but his chart is different than mine. You'll notice he has nothing lit up in the center of his chart. His connection to self, his connection to his throat, his connection to his identity, none of that is connected. His splenic center. So he's just like floating around being conditioned left, right, and center. He has super high anxiety, like massive anxiety. That is not terribly surprising because his head and his ajna have, his head has all this pressure and his ideas and his imagination get all fired up, not always in a very positive outlook way, but he has no connection to his throat, so he cannot spit it out. So we're both emotional generators. I don't have my head center connected. I also don't have that connection. I do have the 1762, so I do have a connection to my throat. I have an easier time speaking my truth than he can even access it. He's really connected. He has constant energy to his emotions, which is a good thing if you're healthy with it. If you're not, then you just have emotions constantly running through your body and you're like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with it? Because he's not connected anywhere above here. He has no connection. So him learning to work with his chart that way is really important. So you will have that understanding of your chart as deep as we can get in 90 minutes with that one class. Then I offer the goods, which is 3 classes. And that is, we get through here, we get through your gates, and we get through your channels. And constantly I'm referring into the gene keys. And if you buy the goods package, I'll send you a link for an Enneagram test. We haven't even spoken about the Enneagram. If you're interested in that test, it can inform a lot of the ways that you are conditioned in each of these centers. It's not necessary, but it can be. And then I also offer packages of 3 and 6 month coaching where I can talk about business and your personality and run relationship charts, provided we have the permission from the people that you want to run it from, and things like that. So that's 3 or 6 month packages. And I will offer you guys 20% off of all of them. Janice, would you put in my chart, the my website one more time so that they can, through there, you can hit contact me or work with me, and you can find your way to Paperbell, which is my scheduling and package hub. The coupon for your 20% off that I will load later today is going to be Soulful. Okay.
So it's
Janice, if you-
lifeshinedesign.co, right?
It's or .com,
Okay.
both.
.com.
Mhm.
Okay.
And so if you add the coupon code of Soulful,
Small or caps, or does it matter?
make it caps.
Okay.
I don't know that it matters, actually. The other thing is I am going to I am writing a program right now, which is a painting practice to get even more familiar with your own chart. So it's going to be intuitive painting. It's not going to be drawing out your actual chart, although that you may choose to put that as one of your base layers. But what the intention is of this class that I'm writing is to find your way to the beauty that is the all of you in all of this. So it's going to involve symbols, and it's going to involve human design. It's going to, we will contemplate different gene keys, because I want to make sure that I make this very clear. Just as in the human design chart, we have access to all of these gates. We have access to all of the gene keys. Not all 64 are represented here in my chart, only a few are. But there is beauty and resonance in every one of the gene keys for us to contemplate. And when I say gene keys, it is the gates from the human design system, but in the idea of this sort of greater biosphere theme, as opposed to human design, which is like that which makes my mind, heart, and body function and react within my life. Have I made that clear?
Can I just say something here? And you
Mhm,
can
please.
correct me if I'm wrong, but when you look at the vocation there on the chart you have right up, it's
Mhm.
31.4. So not only studying, if you really want to go deep, you guys, and get Richard Rudd's Gene Keys book, 31, the Gene Key 31 would be one to study, as well as looking on, like for mine is 13.4, and you said that's the wound, right? The childhood
Mhm.
wound.
Yeah.
So my 31.4, where'd it go? Or mine is 13.4. So I would be studying Gene Key 13, as well as looking at my chart. It lands in that's gate 13. So I'd study gate 13, and also mine is Mars. So then also looking at Mars. So it weaves through all astrology and gene keys and the gates, and that would give me a deeper understanding.
Yeah. Let me
Mhm.
show you guys what she's talking about. So here, if we look at, let's do life's work, because that's 70% of your energy.
Yeah.
So mine is 1.6. Okay. If I go back here and go to my quantum chart, you'll see my sun is in gate 1.6. Gate 1 is in my G center. Okay. So my life's work is part of my I am. So finding out where in your body graph that gate lands is important, because if that gate happens to be in, if I happen to have, well, Janice, you said yours was 13, right?
For my vocation. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for your vocation. So your vocation is in your I am. Okay. So does anybody have who has, like, I don't know, throw out a number, any of you.
For the
For the
First
life's work, this top, the first
okay,
one.
14.5.
14.5. Awesome. So gate 14 is down here in the sacral. Okay.
Okay.
So it's in a different center than mine. And then you would consider gate 5. So I'm going to give you a very shallow, this is not super deep, but a very shallow explanation of what the gates, one way to look at the gates. On a sliding scale between being intrapersonal, number 1, if your number after the dot is a 1, this work is super yours. You. It's all about you. Gate number 2, or excuse me, hexagram number 2 is between you and maybe those who are closest to you. The point 3, the 3 is trial and error. Go and try something, and maybe you fail, maybe you don't, but willing to move. Notice that I have a 3 in this second number. So I am a 6, 3. I hope you see that. So the 3 is trial and error. Try it, fail, try it, fail. But we as 3s don't see it as failure. We just think, oh, that didn't work, got to try something else. And we're super needed because we're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. The 4 is like a mentor, or a server. So think of a server at a restaurant. You know the menu well enough to tell everybody what it is. You can tell them if it tastes good or if you like it or what might be better than something else, but you can't make it yourself. You don't know how to go back in the kitchen and make each one of those dishes, right? That's the 4. The 5 is the mentor or the cook, the one who's actually in the back who can cook it and therefore also could step out the front of the restaurant and talk about it and tell people all about it. And then the 6 is the teacher, that person who no longer has to work in the restaurant at all, but can stand there and teach about it all, knows it well enough to teach. Okay. That, so if you look down either side of your lines, the personality side or the unconscious side, you might notice that you have more 6s than 1s or more 3s than 5s. It is not better or worse. Nobody is more ascended or not. It's just where you happen to be learning these lessons this time around. Okay. So I now know that the 1, gate 1 is actually the spark is what it's called. It's like the creativity. It's the beginning. That is in my G center. That is the masculine energy also. That's an archetype that this gate holds versus the 2, which is the feminine. And ironically, that's my 1 and my 2. It's my earth, my sun and my earth. If you look at my chart right here, sun and earth is 1.6 and 2.6. And then on my unconscious side, it's a 4 and 49. Those 4 places, the earth and sun in both sides, create your incarnation cross, which is, it creates the green spheres that were in my gene keys. Okay. So all of this information flows onto my gene keys chart and yours. The other thing to note is sometimes you have a star or a planet in multiple places. I just want to offer you this. I had a client who had one number repeated like over and over and over again. Sometimes if you look at your chart, you might have the same number in Neptune, Uranus, or Pluto. That's common. That's because the stars stay in, the planets stay someplace for a long time, those, because they move slower, those outer planets. That might be something curious for you to recognize. And so I can't see that I have any repeated planets, but some people do. And then, yes, just as Janice was saying, we can look at we know that 1 is in my G center. And then let's go to my astro chart. This is the continuation of what you were talking about, Janice. I'm sorry, I lost that thread for a sec. We're going to find that out that 1 is in my sun and it is in Scorpio in the 6th house. So we can look at all that. Now, you guys might notice your zodiac signs will be in a different place in your astro sign. So Janice, I think we covered that one in our reading. So, I have Aries up here at 11 o'clock on a clock. That's not necessarily where it will be found on yours. It doesn't mean anything. It's math. You see where down here on my chart, it says the IX, and then it says LAX Defiance 2. This is my my incarnation cross, left angle cross, Defiance 2. It's called Defiance 2, and the left angle cross there is also a right angle cross. So yours might say RAX. And you can find that on your body graph.
Right there.
Does it not say on yours?
No, it's right there. Right at the top.
Oh, exactly. Thank you. Right angle cross of penetration is Tyler's. 57, 51, 53, 54. I want to show you 57, 51, 53, 54. So if you just took those top two boxes on either side of your chart, those are what flow into your activation sequence on your gene keys. Those are the 4 main themes of your whole lifetime. And you can do a Google search. Feel free to do a Google search like, what in the heck is the right angle cross of penetration? It will come up for you in 25 different places. And I encourage you guys, I just want to finish with this. I study with 4 different mentors. I'm not certified with any of them because I have discovered that not only am I interpreting human design through my lens, but all of the teachers who are teaching certifications are teaching through their lenses. And so I don't want just one person's lens. I want to have the broadest understanding of these things so that when I work with my clients, what comes out of my mouth is not informed by only one person's experience or skew, if that makes sense. So there are many, many places that you can get this information. One of my favorites, and she does, she has a big package that she'll sell. It's great. I bought one because I buy all of them from many people because I just want to know what people are talking about. Her name is Christine Ing, I-N-G. And if I can,
I just
hold
found
it.
her.
Yeah. I can run that chart from you from here. She uses the same software. But I'll write her here. I know. But she's great. She does not talk. She just has automated stuff. She will not, she's not a like individual work person. But she's great. Getting the books by Richard Rudd. I can put a link here, or Janice, if you have a link. It's really important. The idea with this book and the idea that Richard Rudd talks about is contemplation. You are to contemplate these. These are not something that you're going to read about and you're going to walk away having absorbed all of the perceptions of gate 1. Like that's, like I said, I've been studying this for so many years. Gate 1 is my life's work. It is my personality sun. And we go through it every single year in November at my birthday, because that's where the gate lives in Scorpio. And I understood it more when I was reading about it and contemplating it at my birthday than I do today, because I had access to that energy. So that's kind of what I mean about energy within these archetypes. We will flow in and out of focus with it, if you will. You always have access to all of these gates, whether or not it's in your chart, whether or not we're in that gate in the year. When we walk the wheel is what we call it, is when we are contemplating these things. And I am going to start doing a Facebook chat. It's hard to do like every Monday because we don't necessarily shift into the next gate, you know, on that Monday, or we might skip a whole one. But I have to look at my schedule and decide what day, but I'm going to go live to talk about what gate we're in. What does that mean? And whomever's on there, you know, say you guys came to participate and we discovered, you know, that Carrie had her, you know, whatever gate we were in was Carrie's sun sign and it happened to be located in her splenic. We can talk more deeply about what that means. What I have found is there is so much information on these on the internet. Feel free. There's so many books. Amazon's area of human design is 20 times bigger now than it was when I started 6 years ago, which is really exciting. What you will not get by working on the web necessarily is how to dig deeper into your own chart, because there's 25 ways to dig deeper into your chart. I learn every week. I learn more from my 4 classes. So, anyway, I have talked enough. Who has a question? What can I answer? How can I be of help?
I'm curious, when I got to the bottom of mine where it says environment,
Ah,
caves. And I'm
it
wondering
said what?
caves.
Caves. So that's interesting. I'd like to look at the rest of your chart, because if a lot of your centers are undefined, but even if they are defined, your ideal environment to really get in touch with you is in isolation in a cave. Mine is in a market, externally in a market, sitting outside watching everybody doing all that, because it lights up all the parts of my chart. So that's a really interesting thing. Anybody else have an environment that you want to look at?
Somebody
Mine-
has mountains.
Mountains. That's interesting. So naturally there are going to be, here's a link. Oh, that is my link to that book. If you're interested in buying the book and you want to go to my link, I'd appreciate it, because I get a couple cents, but
Yeah.
it helps. Anything helps. Oh, here you are. You guys can see my screen, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna take off
Just
screen share.
Remember, that's American. So Canadians, you'll want to go to a Canadian link.
Right.
That's
I
why I
don't wanna
didn't put
do
a
it.
link in. Because it's
Right.
like we got a mix here. And
Oh,
also
that's true.
Osho's in India. So yeah.
Oh yeah, Osho. So if you're thinking about mountains, what we are looking for in your chart, all of us, is to be able to, I want to go back to gallery view. There we go. To be able to talk about all of the environments in which we function. So I am at my best when I am at an external market and I can observe things and I can choose to participate when I want to. And I'm not contained. There's no roof over my head. My son, Tyler, whose chart you saw, he's an internal market person. So he wants to be kind of in a cave where there's a market happening, because it limits the amount that's coming to him. And he can observe, but he can also kind of have the wall at his back, if that makes sense. I'm just curious, Osho, what's your market?
Caves.
Caves. Interesting. Yeah. So Dal, what's yours?
Shores.
Shores. So there's a natural pattern of things coming to you and then receding, and you can allow the wisdom to kind of come. You don't move, but information comes and goes. Right? An emotional generator, or someone who has that emotional piece connected, where that's your that's informing you, you are going to have waves of times when you are motivated and waves of times when you are not. And that engine is going to be either full on or absolutely not, and you're like dead on the bed and there's no energy to do anything.
And that's
Just
the
to
same
show
for
you another
projector?
dimension.
Like that's as a
Yeah.
projector.
Mhm.
well?
Yeah, that's that emotional influence on our charts. So
Okay.
it doesn't matter what you are. If you're a manifester, manifesting generator, that with that emotional part, you have to respect the ebb and flow of your energy. That there's a wisdom in that. You know,
Mhm.
one of my clients has the head and the root connected, and they constantly feel like mental pressure, like and it can feel angsty and anxiety-ish, but actually that's the pressure building up so that all of a sudden she can go and like blow her alarm out her throat chakra. You know, so without that energy building up, she would not then have these moments of really intense productivity and be able to access all of that information that she wants to share. The purpose of the whole chart is to get things out and manifested.
That was one of the biggest helpful pieces of information for me, because I think it's manifestors, projectors, reflectors all need that downtime. And I was constantly burning out because I'd get so much information, so many ideas, and get going on them and then hit a wall. And so one of
Mhm.
my fears of manifesting more was that I would burn out. So
Mhm.
it's the know thyself. As conscious manifestors, everything that you are able to manifest in your life comes through knowing yourself and the consciousness that grows as you continue to um, kind of reveal who you are and where you're going and what your strengths are and where you could put more attention to. That is
Mhm.
what manifests what we want in our life. So, people come into the conscious manifesting. Okay, I want to manifest $1 million business, but it's like the journey is through knowing yourself. And
Mhm.
as you know yourself more, more manifests around you. And it's such a beautiful flow. And also the speaking of flow, the acknowledging that, as Jen said, everything is constantly moving and flowing within, your charts and your life and the people you meet up with and have relationships with, but even the people you pass by through the day can influence your chart and
Mhm.
where we are, the gates that we're on every single day, that's moving and flowing. And so it's just such a beautiful dance, that the more we become aware of this, the more we are able to accept ourselves, give ourselves permission to move forward and stop beating ourselves up over
Mhm.
things that aren't working and just go, okay, this is the flow. This is where I'm going. And it's a huge relationship with yourself.
Just to follow up on that before I need to hop off for this next class. The last thing I want to just to say out loud is I personally believe that the pathway to peace is via connection. And that connection begins with connection to self.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm discovering is that how we treat the internal society, like all of those gens that are in me that have caused harm, created, chaos or reacted to something or whatever, going all the way back to childhood when, I would do something that was totally normal for a kid and then get screamed at. Like that was not my fault. So I need to allow room for that little girl to come and sit at the table and be welcoming to her and realize that I may not agree with everything that I've done in my life, but that everything that I did in my life is okay. And if I made a mistake, that's okay because I wouldn't do the same mistake today. That was 12 gens ago. But the quote I want to leave you with is that how we treat our internal world is how we treat the external world. That unless we are connected within ourselves and can find that compassion for our own selves on our own journey and realize that we are here for our own learning, we cannot extend that same grace to other people. We have to start with ourselves. And so I really hope that you guys, maybe Janice will let you guys know when I'm going to do this Facebook Live. And even if you guys cannot participate, you can write comments and I can interact from that perspective. And it might be on Instagram, it might be on Facebook, I don't know. But interacting and learning about our own human design charts, I think, is so important. And it's rich with opportunities for us to engage. And so I hope that we get to engage together because it's a process and it's complicated.
It's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Jen. You went
you.
through way more than I even anticipated. So that
Oh,
was so kind and generous. And this is recorded, so you could save it for you too. Put it on yours.
perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome, Dalmine. Perfect. Thank you. And Osho, if you want to find me, I'm going to put here really quick. I'm Jen Hayes Day on Facebook, and I am Life Shine Design Coach on Instagram, which I should have put an at, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd
Yeah.
love to see you there and continue the conversation.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
you.
Gotta go.
Okay. Bye,
Bye.
you guys.
Hi, Kelly.
Kelly, we're just finishing. I'll send the recording.